All right, so today on Just Engage University, I have Ashley Bowen Murphy from Brides in Houston, as well as Wed Society. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I've been very blessed and optimistic the last couple of weeks because I've had some amazing guests on, really providing the tools and the resources that Just Engage University has always has provided and had a mission for. And I'm really happy to have you on, especially since you're local, especially since the Houston wedding industry is so huge. And I really appreciate everything that you and your team are doing. So I would love for you to introduce yourself and let our listeners and our watchers know exactly who you are, what you do, and how you got into the wedding industry.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm Ashley, like you said, and co-own Brides of Houston. We also have some sister brands in the state of Texas. We have Brides of Austin and Brides of North Texas, and a companion publication in Oklahoma, Brides of Oklahoma. And what we do is we bring wedding vendors together from across the Metroplex, and we collaborate to create beautiful content that will be inspiring to brides and couples that are planning in the local marketplace, but also help them simplify their search, is what we say, and really find great quality vendors, quality venues to help in the wedding planning process. I've been in the industry for almost 15 years now. It's crazy. I have a prior history of practicing law back in the day. So I like to say this is a lot more fun. And it's a creative world that I have grown to just love and be so passionate about.
And you guys launched Brides of Houston in 2018, correct? August 2018?
We did, yes. I will say Houston's probably, we call it the baby market around here. It's the youngest in terms of the brand being introduced to that marketplace. But yeah, we have a variety of print, online, and social resources to help couples connect and find vendors and get great inspiration. And it's all 100% local, like you said.
That's wonderful. And a lot of our listeners also come out of Austin. So if you're listening from Austin, Brides of Austin was before Brides of Houston, and so they have resources available there. Tell me a little bit about Wed Society, when you guys launched that, and really what the mission behind Wed Society stands for.
Yes. Well, WedSociety was just recently launched. In fact, it was our attempt to bring our various local wedding communities together, vendors in those marketplaces specifically, to provide a platform and an outlet for us to share ideas, lean on, learn from each other, especially during this time right now, the craziness of COVID and coronavirus and how it's impacting and affecting our industry and individual solopreneurs and small wedding boutiques and that sort of thing. And so we are serving as a resource for our vendor partners on Wed Society, on Instagram predominantly, as the website continuously is getting built out. The website does have some great resources on it as well for wedding vendors and links to great resources. But essentially, Wed Society is home base for wedding creatives everywhere to come together and just inspire one another, provide information, resources, share tools and ideas on how we're getting through the current times, but also what the future looks like for the wedding industry as a whole. I think every industry will be changing quite a bit and adapting to using new technologies and just how it affects our individual industries. We'll come out of this stronger together. And that was the purpose of Wed Society.
I love what you're doing on your Instagram, especially since the bridal industry is Instagram driven. I have really tried to utilize a podcast to be an education piece for couples understanding what it is that us vendors do. And in the wedding industry, there, like you said, there's solopreneurs, there's businesses that were built from the ground up, and it's really hard when you're planning a wedding and you don't understand the behind the scenes. So one of the things that you guys are doing, it is specifically for the wedding industry, but I also think it's great for couples to jump on to that Instagram page to see what it is that we're going through right now. There's been a lot of talk on bride to bride groups about, should we stop payments? Should we not keep on planning our wedding? And I've, been answering questions like, it's very important that you find the correct tools and resources, where to talk to, who to talk to, where to get your information from. And two, no, don't stop doing that. And if you do have the proper means, and you're able to plan your wedding for end of the year or 2021, this is what's going to keep those vendors that you do want. This is going to keep those venues that you want to be able to get married at. They're going to keep them afloat. And I think a lot of the times the education piece isn't there, and you guys are doing a great job just getting Brides of Houston, or the brides that you do have in all of your magazine and all your publications, to understand what it is that our community is going through.
Yeah, and I think through having this deeper connection with WedSociety, we will be able to provide even more informative, insightful content to our wedding planning couples, to give them that more in-depth look at how the wedding industry works, and why they are challenged right now during this specific time and season. But yeah, I completely agree with you that now's not the time to cancel completely. We just need to alter and be adaptable and adjust. And we have to postpone, and that's okay. We can still celebrate together when it's safe to do that.
Yes. And I think it's great too that you launched, this is, you're the second entrepreneur that in the wedding industry. Meg Keene was on last week from A Practical Wedding, and they had been talking about launching the hotline ring really like early on last fall, but it just wasn't ready yet. And in a time like this, she put her team together and they launched it that Monday, 2 weeks ago actually. And she put 12, now it's grown from them, but 12 professional experts to be available to answer these questions for couples, or just couples to call and cry, or couples to just understand that they're not alone. And with WedSociety, same thing, in a time of need, a lot of businesses do flourish and grow and become a business to fix a problem. And I think that that's something that we are now going to be prepared for the future. Hopefully something like this never happens again, but you and your team are providing that, because this could happen. A hurricane can happen in Houston again, and there's going to be a place for vendors and for couples to go and connect. So I think that's fantastic what you guys are doing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's great to hear.
And I want to talk a little bit about the Instagram, because I've been on it the last really 48 hours looking at how to send, obviously what to send people there for. And I kind of wanted to go through all the, I guess, themes that you have. Do you mind going through that with me, and just kind of, and I know you guys have been doing lives too, and that's something you're going to continue to do?
Yes, we will be doing some lives. We have some plans for some in-depth webinars on some topics that will be learning resources for vendors that I think is so desperately needed right now. So just understanding, and like you said, having correct information and understanding how to apply these incentives and these relief programs and these tax measures to help our businesses come out of this stronger and better. Webinars and going live and diving in with our industry leaders, other local industry experts. We plan to have some panel discussions as well. We're kind of like Meg in that this was born sort of overnight. It was something that we have been talking about for a very long time in terms of how we can unite our wedding communities together and be a vendor, predominantly a vendor-focused resource for those that we serve, and really support businesses on a deeper level. But when COVID and the craziness of the season happened, we knew we had to put things into action really quickly. So yeah, I mean, we are gauging the response from the community right now. We really have been asking people to submit topic ideas and in terms of what they want to see on WedSociety, and testing the waters with lots of different types of content, because we want to make sure that it's resonating and that it's useful for all the vendors. We have a variety of vendors, right, connected to the wedding industry, all different types of creatives and venues and boutique owners and that kind of thing. So and yeah, I'd love to talk more about
the
content.
Let's talk about your highlights, because that's, I think, really important for anyone that's listening and watching, that they're going to want to go on. I know right now the COVID-19 highlight is probably one of the most updated, because you are having reliable resources. There's so many people that can blog and sell a story, but I went through and looked at what you guys had, also how to support the smaller businesses, where to be looking for what links. So let's kind of go through all the highlights, and maybe you want to give me a small description of each, so that if anyone wants to jump on, they can kind of go, okay, this is where I need to go right now.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So with the COVID-19, what's that highlight specifically for? Just news, correct?
Yeah, it's news, it's breaking news, but particular news that really is information that the wedding industry needs to know about. We're also trying to focus on grant programs and anything that's gonna. I saw just before we hopped on this call that the $2 trillion, tax relief program, Congress just passed. The president's expected to sign off on that this afternoon. I know that probably, I think I've heard rumors of about $350 billion being earmarked for small businesses. And so we want to figure out exactly how that money can trickle down to help wedding vendors in our local communities. And so that's where we'll be sharing that information. And that's where we've done some live video chats and
Perfect. Then we have one, the mindset. Let's talk about mindset, because that one's
yeah. I mean, it's so important, right? Is that we keep a healthy spirit and mind as we conquer, everything that's ahead of us, and that we remain adaptable. Here, you're going to see some inspiring stories, some people that are doing great things to maintain a healthy lifestyle and a great balance of juggling business and personal life in the chaos of the times. And so we are looking for people that are sparking happiness and creating joy and maintaining a level head through the midst of all of this, and sharing those stories and those tips with vendors.
perfect. And then we also have the learn highlight. So what are we putting under learn?
Yes, tons of business strategy and marketing resources. I think just this past week we published an easy SEO check-in.
Yes, love that one. I posted that on my story. That was very important. I think for any business owner, not just in the wedding industry. Yes.
It really is, and obviously there's a lot of complexity to SEO, but there are just some little practical things that we can do to improve our search engine rankings. So whether it's quick tips, quick business tips, or it's more substantive information and richer, longer form content, we'll be sharing all kinds of how to remain productive. We're going to be polling our vendor communities and learning more about what technology tools they're using, and then synthesizing that and passing it along to other vendors that are following WedSociety. So I'm really excited about the learn category. I think we can all learn from each other, and we hope to be able to, share lots of useful tips and tricks.
I think that's also a great, between mindset and learn, those are kind of my two favorite. A lot of people are having a hard time working from home and creating a schedule. And again, social media we can go one or two ways right now. Either you can go down the rabbit hole and go look at all the wrong stuff, or you can use it to your advantage. And this is why with the podcast, the last 5 episodes have really been tools and resources, because you can say, you know what, first thing in the morning, I'm going to have my coffee, I'm going to journal, and I'm going to get on to WedSociety, and I'm going to just make sure that I'm going to spend maybe 15 minutes, and these are the 2 highlights I want to go through. I feel like that mindset and the learning is going to give you a really good start of your day, and then you have something to look forward to the following day, because again, we're all in this together and things are changing, and you guys are really good with being up with the time. So mindset and learn are my 2 favorites. And then I saw that you guys have trending. So let's talk a little bit about trending.
Yeah, that's where we're going to be really kind of gauging our insights and analytics from our Instagram profile to see like what information we have delivered. It'll sort of be a weekly recap. So I think it'll be a great place that if you did miss anything on the daily, like you can go and see over the last week to month, what are some of the top performing content pieces that we've published that you may have missed or you might need to revisit.
Perfect. And then I think the last one was meat, correct?
Is that yes. Okay, meat is something I'm very excited about, but it is also still, in the beginning developing stages. We definitely want to connect our wedding vendor communities together. So our team has been brainstorming on how we introduce creatives and industry, like a panelist of photographers or a panelist of florists from different marketplaces. Maybe they're not all Houston, but we can kind of get a better feel for how everybody is dealing with certain issues, how they run and operate their business. I don't know if you remember, did you ever follow the Coveteur, and they would go inside the closets of some notable names. It was a New York-based blog. I think they
Oh,
actually,
yes. Yes.
yes,
Are they not? Have they
I
done?
think they are still a thing, for sure. But I'd also like to see a little bit of that here, where we kind of go behind the scenes with the vendor to learn more about their operation, to learn more about how they do business, maybe tidbits and advice that they would give to themselves now being 2, 3, 10 years into business, if they were doing it all again. Just insight that we can learn from one another to make our businesses stronger. But I think that one's going to take a lot of different types of formats as we test, like what's the best way to introduce and connect vendors together, and what kind of information is it that we can learn from one another. So
I like that as a venue owner. For me, that's nice because it's hard. Like, sometimes I have tons of partners, entertainment, photography, but sometimes I don't get to really work with other venue owners. And it's nice to see every business in the beginning stages, which I think is one of the hardest, the middle stages, and then obviously they're the ones giving the advice after that 5+ years. But to have it, it shouldn't take something like this to create a community to have that, because a lot of the times I'll be talking to one of my partners and it's different how they run their business to how I run the venue, and vice versa. So you want to be able to have the like-minded people in the same space be able to have that line of communication, and more than anything, learn from one another. No one's here to judge you. No one's here to say, oh, I would do it totally different. I think if anything, it's what were my wins, what were my losses, and this is what we want to see future vendors in the same space do. And I think you're doing a good job with that. There's a podcast here in Houston that's local for Houston entrepreneurs, and it is, sometimes it's the first 6 months. I was interviewed right at my first year, and it was scary because I didn't want to talk about the hard stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then you have to think, what if there's somebody else out there that wants to call it quits, but you're just so close to that finish line and you don't know because nobody wants to talk about those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think from, just even our in-person networking events, we've seen how beneficial it is to bring people together and just to have conversations and learn from one another. So if we can do that in a virtual format, and bring our communities together, even different communities, even where there's no possibility of competing, but let's just share some insights with one another and create stronger businesses. So.
Yes, I agree. I love that. Well, I think, is there anything else you want to add from the Instagram side that I haven't touched on? I know we went through highlights. I know we went through the mission of, really connecting the industry together.
Yeah, I would just say vendors can also definitely stay connected to the website as well. We are about to release some more resources online that are fuller and richer than we can share in an Instagram post or a story. We're also launching a COVID dashboard that has real-time information from across the nation, and there's just a lot of cool features that we'll be rolling out online. So, but the Instagram is obviously where our creative community is, always on the daily, and so I think it's a great place to be checking in, like you said, every morning with your cup of coffee.
Yes, I love that. I think the wedding industry needs that, and local, because there's global, but something that like that's in my backyard. And then you can see other vendors that and that you've worked with and collaborated with, and I think that just gives us peace of mind that, again, we're all in this together. You're not alone, and it may help other people reach out to one another once they get in the routine of checking on what's going on, because we don't have. That's the thing about this. It's not like the hurricanes. It's not like weather. We don't know when it's going to be over. And
Yeah.
I will have both those links in the show notes, because I know there's also other types of personalities that would prefer to be on the website, like me, just to have, like you said, the fuller bigger picture. And I want to just touch before we jump off back to Brides of Houston, because I know you guys are doing a virtual launch, correct?
Yes, we did it yesterday.
Oh, I missed it.
Yes, well, the live, we went live for a period, and then we actually had a pre-produced video that shows off the ins and outs of the issue. So I actually have it right here.
Yay! Oh my God, I'm so excited. Let me take a snapshot of this so we can, oh, I love it.
I know.
We can see the replay, correct?
Yes, yes. The video is on the grid on the main Instagram for WedSociety.
Okay, perfect.
Obviously, we've shared the cover on Brides of Houston, and the gown shoot is online at thebridesofhouston.com. So much great content in this issue. I feel like this is the face of Brides of Houston for the next 6 months, but the content inside is 100% local. It's the local wedding community coming together to create amazing content, and the most helpful resource for a bride that's planning to be able to either pick up the magazine, or every piece of content in here is dissected and shared online and shared through social. And there's just so much goodness in here. There's tons of weddings. It's a beautiful resource.
So I was at HEB last Monday, not this Monday, and it's funny because normally when you check out, there's tons of magazines, and let me tell you, everyone's picking them up. So because they're home and they don't have any, we're kind of almost going backwards a little to where we're going back to looking at print, getting inspired. And I think, again, that's a sense of therapy, a sense of not going down social media, going down the wrong, rabbit hole again. And just, I think it's important that you guys have the option of it being digital, but if you're going to the grocery store and you're getting married and you want to pick up some magazines, Brides of Houston should be one of them. Plus, the way you guys curate that magazine is amazing. I was able to go to your launch party was it October? Was it in October?
Was it the most recent issue released before the virtual one?
Yes.
Yes.
And that was just a beautiful get together that you guys had. I think Alyssa was the one who did Mirmark events.
I'm trying to think.
At the Houstonian, right? It was at the Houstonian.
Yes, it was at the Houstonian. So beautiful. Yes, everything was just amazing for that. It was a morning brunch event. So yeah, usually we're celebrating with a mimosa or two, and all the community.
We can do it virtually. We will keep on doing it virtually. The good thing is that it keeps on launching, like each day, whoever comes and looks at it. So it's just kind of a forever launch. Let's look at it as a forever launch.
I love that. And in fact, I fell in love with this format. It was a way for us to have that online chat and see all the vendors connecting and logging on, and then also show off the inside, all the contents in a really cool way. So we might have to continue this while still maintaining our in-person events when we can all get back together.
Yeah, I like that. I think you can definitely do a forever launch, and then till the next one comes in. Well, I'll have everything in the show notes for you. I'm going to actually put Brides of Houston in there as well, because I like to connect both the vendors and the couples. And I will be sharing this with all of our local collaborating partners here in Houston. And is there anything else that you want, maybe like a tip or something that you would just love to give to the listeners and the watchers out there?
Oh my goodness. As far as the vendors go, I would say we're stronger together. So let's stay united and stay connected on WedSociety. And as far as couples that are planning, the beautiful thing is, I feel like from a Brides of Houston standpoint, we've seen an increase, honestly, in website visits and social traction, and even couples that are connecting with vendors through their online profile and that sort of thing. So it is a digital world, and use all the digital resources that are at your fingertips to connect with these vendors and continue the planning of your wedding, because we will get through these times, and we will have beautiful celebrations again with all those that we know and love. So
yes,
keep planning.
I'm from the venue standpoint, people are inquiring. I was able to do tours up until the very last day, so there are people out there still looking to. It's not stopped. Maybe it's on a standstill for those who have missed their wedding.
Right.
But for everyone looking for end of 2020 and 2021, they're ready, and we are here to keep the industry afloat, and we are here to help. So whatever it is that Brides of Houston needs or what society needs, know that Just Engage University is here to share that message. And I look forward to actually having you back on to talk about maybe the next launch before
I'd love that.
we get to the end of the year. So thank you for being on, Ashley. I really appreciate it. And for everyone listening and watching, I will have all of this information for you to click on show notes, and you'll also be able to watch it on YouTube. Thank you.
Giovanna.
Have a great one.